I'm Justin Davis, and this is Drone Camps RC. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for subscribing and getting in on those contest giveaways, and hopefully you're working on some type of mascot logo for the channel, because the winner of that's going to get about $1,400 prize. So go check out our Facebook. It's Drone Camps FPV Drone Community on Facebook. Join up on that. If you're a graphic designer, get your mascot logo in this month, because the prizes have been upped here again on the channel. So we're going big in February for that mascot design. But check this out. Today, we're going to review a Tri-copter. This little guy is from Frsky. It's about $150. It has 4-inch props on here. It has a 30x30 flight controller in here with Betaflight, OSD. It has a VTX inside here, and it had its own little FPV camera on the front, which I immediately took out after the first few flights, because it was, according to the English, it was shite, as they would say, and the VTX was not very good. It was set to 25 milliwatt default, and it wouldn't go about a half a parking lot away before I totally lost video. So the VTX and video system on this little guy is not good. The other thing that's a little bit daunting about it is it is all plastic, and it does have 2 servos in here that tilt these front rotors. So it is classified as a tilt rotor, which is cool, but the prop guards, they are plastic and they will break if you hit concrete, which I did right there because I'm a crazy man and I'm always flying over concrete. But line of sight, it's also really fun to fly because it looks so ridiculously strange and different compared to a quadcopter. It just looks really cool in the air, and when you break it out at the field, people usually get some kind of different reaction to it. Everybody has quads these days, but not everybody has a Tri-copter, and this thing is super geeky, but for some reason, I like the really super geeky stuff even more. So this has been sitting on my desk. My partner actually came to my office a couple days ago, and she looked at it on my desk and was like, "What is that?" It's a Tri-copter. She's never seen one before. After all the things that I reviewed on my channel, this is the first Tri-copter on the channel. So I'm pretty excited about it. But what's really cool about this is that, yes, it does have Betaflight. You can upgrade it if you like it. And that's why I did, because I enjoy it. So I put a Foxier all-weather camera on the front, and I'll put a link down below for these, because this is going to be a mini review for that too. And I put a nameless DVR in there. It's nameless RC 400 milliwatt DVR with a Lollipop 3 sticking out the bottom instead of the stock Frsky antenna. That entire video system is a piece of crap. So just yank it out and put something worth your time in here. So if they do a Rover 4, I would suggest looking at Foxier or RunCam cameras. Maybe even some type of internal 1080p DVR would be cool for Frsky's customers. That's what everybody wants anyway. So listen to the community. They usually do, and maybe they'll come out with a Rover 4 that will be a lot better updated than this one. But you can get a 4S or a 3S battery in here. You can fly either one. I flew 3S 550 and a 650 battery, and I was still able to get like around a 4-minute flight time, maybe about 4.5 minutes. It also has, like I said, 2 servos in the front right here and an XT30. So it already comes set up for your XT30 batteries. When you tuck this back in here though, you have to be careful that the wire doesn't get smashed up into the servo arms in there. So those are having to be pushed back and forth to work your tilt rotor. So everything fits in nicely, just like this. And I have to say that I'm not super impressed with the canopy as well. I did break one post on the canopy, 2 plastic posts right here, and a little magnet that holds everything off. So every time I hit the ground a little bit hard, the canopy would fly off, and I would have to stop flying and go pick this up before I lose it, because it is black after all. But I think that flying at line of sight was probably the most enjoyable thing. And once I upgraded the camera system on here, that just made it a lot more fun to fly. So let's go ahead and do some indoor freestyle and some crashes, some durability tests with this guy. And then after that, we'll go outside, do some freestyle, and I'll show you what this thing looks like with the stock camera, which is a piece of shite. And I'm gonna show you what my upgraded system looks like, and then we'll have some fun outside in the park. All right, guys, here we go. All right, so let's have some fun. First, we're gonna fly line of sight, and just gonna talk about this flight real quick. Now, this is the first time I've ever flown a Tri-copter in acro mode line of sight.
So this was really interesting for me. It kind of reminded me of a lobster doing like front and back flips. It was really kind of hilarious. It did have some kind of wobbling characteristic to it, but that's because the flight controller is trying to catch up with just not having that extra propeller and motor there. So you do have a tendency with this quad to have some kind of wobble effect, and that might be able to get possibly tuned out with a little more tuning in Betaflight, but I'm not totally sure because I didn't try to tune it yet. I just left it stock how it was. So now you're looking at the stock video camera and VTX on there, and we're having a little shenanigans here with it because it has prop guards. So the guys thought it was really funny. They've never seen one like this before in person, other than like the stick builds that we've seen years ago. But this one's cool. It's geeky. It is super geeky, but it's got terrible electronics on it. As far as the VTX is considered, it's totally trash. So the Rover 4, like I said before, it definitely needs some upgrading. I like this Tri-copter so much that I decided to give it some upgraded stuff because I have a shop full of the newest gear out, and this is the Foxier Toothless camera that you're looking at right here with that nameless 400 milliwatt with DVR on board. It has a smart card slot on there, so you can put your micro SD card in there, and I'm going to show you some of that video coming up as well. I'll try to put all those links for those companies down below because some of you might not have seen this Toothless camera before, but it is an all-weather camera, and this is a much sunnier day than the first day I got to film with that stock setup on this Tri-copter. But now it's a nice sunny day, and the next day we're going to go out and fly after this part. Playing around in the backyard a little bit with some close-in proximity is also going to be a nice sunny day. So just trying to see how it flies in stability mode and close proximity, close into things around the backyard, and just kind of see how it does. And you can see again, it does have that sort of wobbling characteristic, but it will find gaps and make it through gaps with unbelievable precision in that stability mode. So this is, you know, it's kind of like having a tiny whoop in the backyard, and there you go. The prop guards actually do work. You can bounce off things, and sort of it kind of hugs up against something sometimes, like quads do. It has that same type of characteristic. I crashed up against a fence and it did the same thing. It hugged up against a fence pole. I had to walk over and get it. But now we're out at the park over here in Milwaukee, and this is a nice day to fly also. And again, you're looking at that upgraded Foxier Toothless cam right here. This is the micro version, and it's looking really nice out today. But the closer I get to this baseball diamond over here, there's 3 of them right here with a bunch of fences. That's a really bad spot for VTXs. For some reason, there's something over there that causes a lot of problems. But isn't that cool? Look at the shadow of this little guy, just cruising along. Looks like a little lobster flying through the air. It's really, really neat little quad. And I tried to do an airplane landing. If you hit the ground, you have to hit the throttle kill really fast. And of course I scratched my camera. Second time I used it. But now we're gonna look at the nameless RC 400 milliwatt VTX DVR. And this is recording in 16:9. So this is way, way, way more clear than the Toothless camera, but it almost amazingly looks like the same. And I believe this is recording 10 or 720p possibly. I believe that's what the resolution. I have to go back and look at the specs on that, but there you go. There you have it. That's the nameless DVR. It looks pretty good. It's better than all the cut up on your goggles recording in your goggles DVR. So if you want something that's going to be able to record your quads flights or your fixed wing flights and not take up a lot of space, this thing is not very heavy, and that's one of the reasons why I chose it. It's kind of one of those like half stacks. It looks like it's kind of cut in half, and you can put this in the belly of this little Tri-copter and get some nice video. But now we're going back to doing some really, really tight in proximity flying underneath this fence right here. This is like a foot off the ground right here. So I am in stability mode and just cruising along here and seeing how much control I can have with those 3 motors underneath this fence, kind of slaloming back and forth. I mean, normally I would generally only get away with this type of flying with like something like a tiny whoop, but it has a really a low profile to this particular Tri-copter. So you're able to kind of like skirt underneath things. And we had some people walking by with their dogs and they thought it was super cool, and these ladies started saying, "Oh my goodness, you're really good at that," and making all kinds of compliments to me. And then I got a little bit nervous because, you know, when the ladies are talking to you and they're making comments to you and telling you how good you are, you just start messing up on the sticks. And that's exactly what happened to me. I started hitting things. Typical male. But yeah. But you can see again, and there they said something else, and okay, ladies, it's time to go. I need to get back to flying. Sorry. This is Geek Squad out here. So I think it's really well controlled underneath the fence, and if you wanted to do any type of, you know, practice around the race course with this, I think this tri-copter could hit the race course, or even some indoor flying would be fun. So honestly, whatever you want to do with this little tri-copter, I think you're going to have fun with it, especially if you decide to upgrade it later, or sooner, hopefully, than later. This is what mine looks like at the end of playing around with mine, and I'm a typical hobby guy. I couldn't stand it. I had to upgrade that camera immediately, and the props, the original bullnose props had to come off there, and I had to put my own Lollipop 3 antenna on the bottom there to be able to get a little bit better range. And that 400 milliwatt nameless DVR VTX on the bottom there, you can see it just inside that little hatch right there, is much better. But I love the landing gear on here. Is the landing gear like the cutest, coolest thing ever? I used to think that was super ridiculous when I'd see these quadcopters looking sort of like a helicopter, but this thing looks like something out of Blade Runner or something. It's really neat. And you can see that 30 by 30 stack in there. You could probably even replace that with something else later if you wanted to. And you can see those look like 9-gram servos in there. And the good news about the servos, the last tilt rotor I had on the channel failed miserably. The first flight they broke, and these took concrete crashes, it took gym crashes, and whatever servos these are, they are actually really, really good. So I'm gonna give this one about a 4.0 out of 5, mainly because of the fun factor. I love this little guy. Thanks for watching, guys.